Hey guys, today is officially day 30 of the 90 days, so that dovetails with the 4 weeks thing. It's a couple days more than 4 weeks, but I'm a third of the way through this, and as noted in last night's video, that's pretty cool. So today I'm gonna have a couple thoughts on momentum, because last week I had a lot of momentum, and then stuff happened. I had a speaking gig that I traveled to New York City for. I had a number of travel and other work days associated with that. And then I had essentially a family emergency come up, and I needed to come home very quickly, which is why I am home now and not still in New York City. And it's interesting because I've been able to maintain a certain amount of work during all of these things. Some of it has been work on this book project, and some of it has been client work. I do have a client project that's due tomorrow, so I'm kind of focusing more on that at this point. But momentum in these kinds of projects is really interesting because I would think that I'd feel like my momentum has stalled out or run into the ground or just isn't really there anymore, and that's actually not how I feel. I feel like the minute I sit down and start writing chapter 5, it's going to flow the same way chapters introduction through 4 did. And it's going to, I think the momentum is still going to be there. But that's an interesting thing to consider because I think for many first time authors, there's a feeling that if they break momentum on a project, if they don't write every day, or if they don't write according to whatever schedule they develop first, then the project is kind of going to fall apart. That either they keep to this particular schedule or they're screwed. And I don't think that's the case. I think there are definitely people who need to work a system and who need to, plan the system and make keeping the system their goal, and that's fine. But I think there's also room for some flexibility in saying that when life gets in the way, as long as it doesn't get in the way for too long, you can put your momentum into something of a holding pattern where it's ready for you to come back to it as soon as your plate is clear again. And I feel like that's where I am right now. Tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to sit down and finish this book, and I'm going to write chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7, conclusion. I have every intention of finishing this book this week, even given everything else that's on my plate. And I think that's going to happen. So it's an interesting thing for me to think about, and maybe for you to think about as well, that even though I've had to arrest some of my momentum, I think I'll be ready to come back and still have it be there when I'm ready to. So I'd be interested to hear in comments if any of you guys have had something like this happen. If you've been working on a project that you've just had to take a couple of days away from, have you been able to come back to it and still feel like your momentum has been there? And if so, how did that work for you? And if not, how did that work for you? How did you deal with it? So, yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. I'd love to discuss. All right, have a great night.